Hello and welcome to the North Bank Podcast. I'm your host, Holly, and I'm joined by Steph and Chris. Hello, guys.
Evening.
Hello.
We're recording on Sunday evening. How was your mothering Sundays? All right?
Lovely.
Busy. Rang my mum.
Well done, you.
That's all I could
Brownie
do.
points. Excellent.
I played football in the garden at my sister's place and broke a few plants with my
Bones,
kids.
I thought you were going to say. Broke a few kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're normally
Yeah,
breaking things in the garden when Arsenal are playing.
It got a bit tasty. Do you remember that clip of Vinnie Jones taking out the mascot?
Do you know who that mascot was?
You.
No, that mascot was long-time friend and listener, Dan. Hi, Dan.
Brilliant.
Do you know
Really?
why he did it? He caught the ball on the pitch at Highbury. He caught the ball on the pitch. Dan, you'll have to get in touch with me and tell me that story, and I'll tell it properly.
Come on the
Yeah, yeah.
pod.
I'll tell it properly. Yeah, come on the pod and share that story. Dan's got a couple of other stories as well, but you know,
We
might
can't
have
share
to.
on the
We
pod.
might have to just silhouette him on the screen.
Is he all right? Or is he still in therapy? Or
Keep his identity
After
secret.
you've just said his name. Brilliant.
Dan's a generic name, you know. Dan.
a lot of
It's an
Dans.
acronym. It's an acronym. Deadly and nosy or something. I don't know. That was a weak attempt to come up with something for that. Anyway, Dan, get in touch with me. Right. Okay. On to Arsenal matters. International break is over. So that's the final one of the season. Thanks be to God for that. No other injuries picked up. I guess in the Arsenal playing world, it's Saka potentially making the bench for Tuesday's game, which we will talk about. We'll preview the Fulham game. Before that, let's give a North Bank pod welcome to Andrea Berta, and as he takes up his role as, what's his title? Is it Director of Football?
Yeah. I think
sporting
so.
director.
Sporting Director.
I think.
What other sports do we play?
Badminton.
Some would argue that maybe football's not a sport we're playing. Anyway,
Okay.
Come on now.
I didn't see much. There were a few little sound bites. Him and Josh Kroenke putting a few little sound bites out together. I did read, though, I can't remember where it was, I read it, that he's already identified his first three signings. So I asked you boys earlier to tell me who you think they might be. Did you come up with three names? I did.
You
Go on,
did.
then you go first.
No. Go on, Steph.
I didn't. I mean,
Shall I go first?
I couldn't really sort of like pin it down because there's a couple of ways he can go. He can either go for the ones that we've been linked with for what feels like an eternity. So Benjamin Sesko would be the sort of first name that comes to mind, or he could go down the route of a player from his former team that he knows he can kind of get done. So looking at that Atletico side, little bit tricky.
That would worry me if he did that. If
Yes,
it was
me
just
too.
players he knew, that would worry me.
Ten Hagi.
Yes,
bit Ten Hag-y.
exactly. Yeah.
But then looking at the
they're doing
Atletico
okay.
side, yeah, they
They're
are doing okay.
yeah.
Exactly. If he's going to go to a former side to get someone, it's not the worst team in the world. Griezmann's obviously the wrong sort of age profile. Forward line. We shall see. And then the other one is, again, from a very cursory glance at various things I read online that he's got a pre-existing relationship with Jorge Mendes, who I think is the super agent behind all the Portuguese players at Wolves, which then led me. Is that him, or is it?
I'm not sure, but Matthias Cunha
was gonna be
gave an
the third
interview
name.
today. He's basically signalled that he's leaving Wolves in the summer. So he said that today. He said, "I want to win things."
He said that specifically.
Yeah.
Oh, right, because it's not like I noticed, Liverpool social media things, everyone getting their knickers in a twist because Salah posted a cryptic story on Instagram of Trent and a couple of the other players relaxing on Saturday evening, and it just said the caption, "Please stay Trent." So, yeah, interesting. But hey ho, Matthias Cunha.
Yeah.
All right. Bring it on.
Right, is that it? You're not giving me three names.
Sesko and
Okay.
an Atletico Madrid as yet unnamed player.
Question mark player, yeah.
And Cunha. I think.
Okay, Chris.
I don't think if this rumour of he's already got three players lined up is true, I don't think it would be him just sitting there on his own going, oh, let me rustle up 3 players I can bring to the Arsenal. It's going to be players that have already been associated with us. So Zubimendi, the keeper, Garcia, is it?
Garcia.
It is, yeah.
And
I'm laughing because they're 2 of the 3 names I've put down.
right, but they're kind of
Yeah.
It's
Who's
sort of
your
aligned.
third? Who's your third?
I'm going to say Williams, just
Okay.
for the hell of it.
Well, I went for the same position, but I went with Semenya from Bournemouth. It might be a mad thing to say, but if you were offered Nico Williams or Semenya, which one would you go for?
Yeah.
Which one?
Look, the arguments on both sides. Semenyo's Premier League ready.
Two for it's like he favours right, but
Yeah.
play across the front 3.
But I wonder if Williams has got a higher ceiling.
Yeah,
That's all.
Yeah, and
But-
he's had. I think if he had a really good season, we'd probably be saying no question it's Williams. But he's been a bit hot and cold this season,
well,
hasn't he?
bit like Isak was at Sociedad, and we
Right,
went a
and we
little bit
passed
cold
on
on
that.
him.
Yeah.
We went a little bit cold on him.
And that's going to cost us.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because my thought when you were saying if he had a better season, we probably wouldn't be able to afford him. You know, that kind of. He's maybe priced himself out. I don't know,
And he's,
but he's
what
got
is
a
he,
release
21,
clause.
22? He's pretty
He's
young.
very young.
He's young.
Yeah.
So yeah, ceiling FC.
Yeah. So my 3 players were Zubimendi, Garcia, the goalkeeper, and Semenyo. If he's got 3, it was just a bit of a fun question. Like, I've no idea. He'll come up with 3 players out of left field.
3 defenders, 3 left.
3 left backs.
Yeah. Arteta there, yes.
Well, there was a reason Arteta gave it the green light, and that was it. He just shared his love of left backs,
Yeah.
and with Tierney going, got to replace at least one of them. The other question I posed you guys earlier were to prioritise. So he's got his first. He starts on the job 9:00 tomorrow morning. What are the first 3 things he should be looking to get done? And I don't mean like put the kettle on. Get
Look
himself
out
a
for
brew.
practical jokes around the office.
Yeah, check for cellophane across the toilet bowl or something like that. But
He's got a very severe look about him, and I mean that in a.
I'm only joking about the cellophane.
He looks very serious.
Good idea.
Very serious. You know, Edu always had that kind of like he's a look like a
Barbecuing,
charmer,
yeah.
the barbecue, the cigar. This guy looks all business, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Good.
want to be playing tricks on him.
Yeah, true.
Doesn't it align with the Arteta thing of being quite businesslike and, you know, we'll go back to Ramsdale. You know, I was thinking this the other day about how we were all, leading with our hearts, saying how much we wanted Ramsdale to stay. And is Raya really going to make that difference? And
Yes,
as it's
Yeah.
come to pass, really has.
Arteta knows. Right, so prioritise first 3 things that you think he should, and be as specific as you can. Okay, Steph.
Oh, it's to me, it's all about the contracts that need renewing. We've got a few players who are entering the last sort of 2 years, meaning that options can be triggered for an extension, or you get them to re-sign and put them on more money. So I think the key ones would be Gabriel. I think it's really important that he stays. Despite the Saudi interest that seems to crop up about him, I think most Arsenal fans would see him as the one that stays, and maybe Saliba moves on at some point. And I just think he's a leader vocally. He's not a lead by example kind of player. He's the heartbeat.
Although Saliba is the one that gives much more Arsenal fan playing for Arsenal Football Club vibes than someone like Gabriel does. Saliba is given zero inclination that he's he's agitating or anything like that. No rumours or anything like that.
Yeah. And then the other one is Saka as well. And I don't think that will be necessarily an issue for Saka because, it's just Mr. Arsenal now. But it's got to be done. And, with the likes of Gabriel and 1 or 2 other players who I can't remember off the top of my head, it's about future-proofing the club as well, because look at the situation Liverpool are in with Trent, and having had a few Liverpool fans sort of message here and there online, their issue isn't necessarily that he's leaving, it's that he's leaving for free. And Arsenal have had that several times with players running down contracts and then going off for their payday, and that's because the players kind of have the power. So the club need to be ruthless, and hopefully this guy is, in saying, look, you sign or you're sold, because we can't afford to.
It's a bit of a gamble for Trent if he's not signed any, because he's free to sign with a foreign and overseas club from January the 1st, isn't he? But what if he was to play in the last 6 or 7 games for Liverpool and get an injury, like an ACL or a broken leg or something? I'm sure there's insurance that would kick in, and he's not short of cash. But in terms of career, like it's a bit of a.
There's always that risk, yeah.
Risky. He's not protected by contracts, but so your 3. So Andrea Berta's first 3.
Gabriel
jobs: Gabriel, Saka, and
then
Saliba.
a striker. Not okay. Leave Saliba for a second.
So two contract extensions and then a striker. Which one?
What? Which striker?
Yeah, be specific.
Oh, Sesko.
Okay, Chris.
Okay, so I'm going to flip it slightly, because in a rather more sort of optimistic viewpoint, I think. Sorry, no. From the point of view, hear me out. So, I think the contract extensions are something that can happen with players who have a will to stay. They're not agitating for moves. It's not something I feel is like as urgent. I feel we need to push forward with the sale as a priority. Sorry, the purchases as a priority. So I'd like to see people coming in, and look, what will probably happen is a lot of these things will happen in parallel anyway. It's not going to be just one thing, then 2 months go by and then they start actioning the next phase. There's going to be stuff going on, concurrently. But for me, prioritise for me is to bring in a striker. Well, I think the practical one is Sesko. The dream one is Isak. So if we're, again, optimistically, let's say we go for Isak and we sort of put all our eggs in that basket and we just go for it. Great. Okay. Make a statement as sporting director, come in. But that's me. I'm the kind of wish casting.
What a way to ingratiate yourself to an entire fan base.
Exactly.
Whilst alienating the Geordies.
Yep. Well, that's just.
So that's all right. Isak. Then that's priority 2 and 3.
And then he will tie down, as Steph said, the contracts extensions for Saka and the 2 centre halves, and then it's player sales.
No, okay, but I wanted 3 specifics. So you've got your Isak, and then your contract extension for Saka, Gabriel, one of them, Saliba. Or both of them. That's priority 2 and 3. You don't get more than that. You don't get more than that.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Do we know whose contract is up first out of Saliba and Gabriel?
I think Saliba's the dodgy one because he's not got a 1 year. Extension. To my knowledge, he's not got a 1 year. What do you call that?
Extension.
The option.
Is that called it? The 1 year option? Yeah, that's it. He's not got the 1 year option. I think. Remember, his was just a 3-year contract or something like that.
But as you said, he's not the one that's had the kind of slightly shrouded in will he, won't he? Once he heard about the interest from Saudi and he was, twerking slightly. So I don't know.
From the bench, it has to be said.
Yeah. Look at me.
Okay, so I've gone for one from each column, if you like. So one from a purchase, one from an extension, and one from a sale perspective. Okay. I've said that he should prioritise a striker, Sesko, I've gone for. Let me ask you this, just though, on the Sesko thing, and we talked about Semenyo or Nico Williams. Do you think it will be too much of a gamble to go for, and this is like the arrogance of the Arsenal fan perhaps, to go for both Nico Williams and Sesko? They're both very young, they've both got really high ceilings, but it could be a bit of a gamble for both to go for 2 players like that in terms of Premier League experience?
Oh, in terms of experience, I thought you were going to say cost, because they probably won't cost.
Williams has got a release clause, like 50 million or something.
Yeah. It's his wages that are going to be, but then probably compared to what we pay our A-listers.
Again, I don't care about that. I just care about their on-field performances. Like, would it be a gamble in that sense? I mean, it could come off for both of them, and it'd be amazing.
Yeah, and then I wonder what can be done within the squad, because although their input into the actual first team may have tailed off ever so slightly, I think the signings of Trossard and Jorginho were quite canny for the time. So would there be some lower cost in Premier League signings that could be made to just kind of shore up the squad in a way as well?
I think there has to be. There has to be, because we're losing Partey and Jorginho probably.
And that might be another slightly aging midfielder who will be a bit part player. I have no idea off the top of my head who would that be, but yeah.
Well, Semenyo will be more expensive than a Nico Williams to buy.
I think
maybe
so.
not the wages, but to purchase him from Bournemouth would. I don't know his contract situation at Bournemouth. To be fair, I don't know how many years he's got left. I know Isak's got till 28 or something on his contract, so not like we're a year away from him being down to 2 years. So okay, I keep looking at this Crystal Palace midfielder as well, Adam Wharton, and he looks really another one with high ceiling, but with already a degree of Premier League experience and not a huge. But again, like you said, Chris, where do we play them all? Buy all of the players. Chelsea are doing it.
Yeah, loan them out.
Yeah. Okay, so I've gone for Sesko striker. The next priority is to extend Saka. I went with Saka because I think he's the statement one. He stays, and others will. It'd be like Salah coming out for Liverpool. I know we kept referencing Liverpool quite a lot, but if Salah came out at the start of the season or in October or November and said, "Here's my contract, I'm extending it," then that's the statement signing. That gives the whole club a real. Not that they've needed it this season, but I'm talking about for us. It was just kind of. It's a statement. Other players want to play with the best players, and if Saka's staying.
Yeah. It sends a message to those that might be thinking of coming in, doesn't it? And their agents and whatever. It's like, well, Saka's just extended. It's like a show of where we're headed.
And the other third one is to sell Trossard, which sounds a bit
give him away.
A bit harsh for me. No, but I want a decent fee for him. It's what we've done. Almost my first measurement for this guy is how he sells our players. Because that has knock-on, obviously, effects in terms of who we purchase, because we'll have more money. But also, the impression that we give is that we're not great at selling. I think we've done a little bit better most recently. How much, Emil and Eddie. Eddie probably the better one. Did we get 30 million for Nketiah? I mean, there's nobody thinking that was a steal.
Scored yesterday, got them into FA Cup semi-final.
Yeah, Balogun as well, absolutely. Well, he scored the third in a 3-0 win.
Hey, they all count.
I don't think that qualifies as the scoring the goal that got them into an FA Cup semi-final.
Works for Foden when he scores the fourth when they're binning off some Eastern European team in the Champions League.
Harry Kane does it all the time. Yeah. So they're my three priorities for Berta, is to buy Sesko, extend Saka, and sell Trossard, but like for a decent amount. I looked at the other players, and depending on who we buy, selling Martinelli would be a lot easier than selling Trossard.
I was going to say, I literally was just going to ask: is Martinelli the highest profile player that we've got that could be sold?
And that we'd be prepared to sell. Yeah, I think so. Because if you've got Isak and Williams, I'm obviously the dream. Both of those drift to the left. Like Williams plays off the left, but Isak, like Henry, drifts to the left as well. And we love Martinelli,
but he's plateaued. There's no getting away from it, is there? And we've got to be ruthless. A bit like the Ramsdale-Raya situation. There probably is a trade up somewhere to be done.
Yeah. Okay. It'll be interesting. We've only got a few weeks till the end of the season. Oh, they announced the transfer window. Some bizarre, two-phase transfer window. I was led to believe that the transfer window would end on the eve of the new season, but it's not. It's going to the 1st of September again. But it's from the 1st of June to the 16th of June, and then a break for 10 days or 2 weeks to coincide with the World Club Championship, and then it reopens again on whatever it is, the 30th of June or whenever. Why?
Because Sky Sports News think more transfer deadline days will be better, probably.
They're going to have a transfer deadline day on the 16th of June.
Do you imagine? I think it is essentially because it's a UEFA thing, right? Or is it a FIFA thing?
It's World, so it'd be FIFA.
World, it's going to be FIFA, isn't it? So FIFA basically just want to put so much emphasis on this Club World Cup.
No distraction.
They don't want a distraction, but also to, I don't know, perhaps make it a more even playing field for the teams competing, so that, you know, rather than channel their efforts into competing in this Club World Cup, other teams could be, you know, buying players and horse trading or whatever. But I don't know.
I need to look into it, but I think the participation money for this is huge.
If City or Chelsea win it, there was reports they'll get 100 million.
Yeah, so that's
they win it.
More than the Champions League, pretty much.
Yeah, it's getting that way.
I mean, it's a ridiculous tournament. It's just a...
Well, especially given Chelsea's a slightly different thing because they do have a squad of 485 players. But Man City, there's been a lot of talk from their players and from Pep about the schedule, about the overplaying of players. Yeah, I think a few Man City players are quite vocally supportive of the players' union, which was even threatening.
Wasn't he?
Rodri, especially, was even threatening strike action because of the football calendar. So, you know, you've got a what's the word there? You've got a conflict between the players and their sort of needs, but the club obviously wanting to pursue this other form of revenue. And we know Man City are going to try and seek any kind of revenue they can because they need what's the word? They need visible revenue to cover the invisible revenue that they've been perhaps allegedly...
I thought you were going to say to pay for the lawyers.
Well, yeah, and let alone that as well. So it's a funny one. I don't know. There's got to be a breaking point. Look at the number of players that have broken down this season. I don't think there's a club in the league that hasn't bemoaned injuries at some point.
Liverpool.
No, but even then, they had Alisson out for a spell. Van Dijk's had no real settled partner in defence. They've had a few injuries.
They've just been lucky, Steph. Come on, say it.
I've been saying it plenty. Don't worry about
that. Yeah. Okay. Right. Looking back to Arsenal Premier League. It was the FA Cup weekend this weekend, so City play Forest in the semi-final and Villa play Palace in the other semi-final. Obviously, the whole country, bar Man City fans, want any one of the other three to win the FA Cup.
ABC, anyone but City.
Anyone but City. Oh, I'm an ABU. Anyone but United. That's my vintage ABU.
Well, yeah.
Okay. No Premier League. What was I going to say? I was going to say something about, I can't remember now. Something about the FA Cup weekend. Oh, of course. We're playing Fulham on Tuesday at the Emirates, and Fulham lost 3-0. Was it 3-0 in the end? Home to us. That was a shock. I was really surprised by that result. I didn't watch the game, but losing 3-0 at home, I did see Eze score a fantastic goal. Welcome him with open arms at Arsenal, please. Thank you very much. No problem. And Adam Wharton, while we're there, you know, bargain 2 for 1 or something, I don't know.
Swap for Trossard.
So we could suggest it. It's a bit like Newcastle or Liverpool offering who was it? Jota and Nunez for Isak. Like,
for
okay,
real.
Good luck with that.
I've got some magic beans you might be interested in.
Yeah. That's got to impact Fulham's confidence ahead of our game on Tuesday, surely. I mean, it's a question. Is it going to be wounded beast, or is it going to be like completely dejection? Because the two games away from, well, 1 game away from playing at Wembley, but 2 games away from an FA Cup final. When was the last time Fulham won the FA Cup? Have they ever won the FA Cup? I genuinely don't know. So it's got to have some impact on them. I think Emil came on after about 60 minutes in the game. I just checked that to see if he was playing, but obviously couldn't impact much. They're currently sitting in 8th. I think they're 45. I think they're 3 points off City in 5th. They're on a decent run. They won their last home game. I think they beat Spurs 2-0 in their last home game, but they lost their last away game in the Premier League to Brighton. I think it was 2-1. They've got a couple of players out injured. I couldn't see one of their players is on Sasa Lukic is on 10 yellow cards, so I don't know whether his suspension is over for our game or it includes our game or not. I don't know. Who was out? Oh, Harry Wilson and Tete are the only two kind of definite absentees in the game. But Fulham at home, we talked about it. Is Arteta going to set up to win the game, or is he going to have an eye on the Madrid game? Will Saka be on the bench? Who's going to start? What's our starting 11? Who wants to go first?
Go for it, Chris. I went first on all the Berta points. So.
Yeah. Well, this thing of setting up for Madrid, we talked about before, and it's, I don't know. I just feel like he's going to go out to win this one, and it's the first game after the break. Get some sort of, get the cogs turning kind of thing, rather than be too sort of focused on the Madrid game. So I think we're going Raya in goal. I think Timber comes back in. I think he was. I think he had a cold. It wasn't like an injury, was it? When he was on international duty, he seems to be fine. He was pictured in training because they've got that winger, haven't they? Robinson, who's quite a fullback.
He's fullback.
Who's fullback, yeah. Who's pretty damn good this season. Really good. So we need him there to look after him. And then, as you are in mid centre halves with Saliba and Gabriel, MLS comes back in at left back. Ødegaard, Partey, Rice, midfield I've got. And then up front, I was just... I wanted to put Martinelli in his favoured position. Well, I am putting Martinelli in his favoured position, but that just means Merino and Trossard. So Merino up front and Trossard on the right.
I've got exactly the same team.
Yeah.
And it's more probably predicting what I think Arteta will go with. I wouldn't mind seeing Ben White. It's a funny one with Ben White. He's been coming back from injury, but they're clearly being cautious with him because I would like his pace. Fulham are a team that certainly have a bit of pace about them, whether it's Iwobi breaking from deep or Adama Traore, whose name I always forget. And like you say, Robinson, the fullback, is clearly a standout player for them, and he's up and down. So, White's pace would be interesting, and just how you configure the front line, because do you bring Waneri back in? He played for the under-21s. Martinelli through the middle, Merino, I don't know. But I think he's going to stick with what's been, inverted commas, working to a certain extent with that. So, I mean, Merino scored again, didn't he, on international duty, so I can see him playing through the middle. Yeah, just kind of as he was, really.
Kind of half set up by Nico Williams. It was a blocked shot, wasn't it? Parried. Well, I've got one deviation from your two selections, and it will come as no surprise to either of you that the player who's missing out in my starting 11 is Saliba. Trossard, obviously. Yeah, Trossard drops out. I play across the front three, Waneri, Merino and Martinelli on the left.
And that would be fine.
I think they've had... Yeah, and I think we've had every player's had at least 7 or 8 days without a game of football. It's been because of the FA Cup weekend. Fulham obviously have had a game, so, kind of leg weary perhaps for those guys, as well as mental weariness. I don't know. But Fulham have plenty to play for in the Premier League. Even if it's not going for Champions League qualification in 5th spot, maybe if that's unrealistic, but aim for that and then fall a little bit short of that, and you get a Europa League slot or a Europa Conference slot. It could be down to 8th. I mean, they're probably sitting in a Conference League place at the moment, aren't they? In 8th. Would that be a Conference League place at the moment? If we get 5 places in the Champions League, which the last I heard was almost a foregone conclusion. Yes. But since then, I know Liverpool have dropped out, and United and Spurs are still through in the Europa League. We're through in and so are Villa. So us and Villa in the Champions League. So I can't see how any other countries outperforming us to the extent that they could close that kind of points coefficient that I don't know how it works. You get certain. I've read several times how it works, and it doesn't stay in my head. Even though it is numbers, it doesn't stay in my head. But it is what it is. Chris, score line.
Saka comes off the bench to score a late.
Bloody hell.
No, I think it's going to be a 2-0. 2-0 to the Arsenal.
You just mentioned Saka. I mean,
I do think he'll come off the bench.
Can you imagine? Can you listen? I would anticipate if he is on the bench, the first time he goes for a warm up along the touchline, the players will think we've scored. Like it will be as loud as. Can you think of another time a returning player? I mean, probably Pires. First time he came back. I can't think of another player we've had out such an important player we've had out for a concerted amount of time.
Well, one of the leg breakers, so Eduardo Ramsey, but that might have been more to do with the terrible nature of their injuries. Yeah. But it almost makes me want to go on Tuesday to be there for the cheer when he warms up, which is just shows how important he is. But yeah,
Steph, scoreline.
Do you remember when we predicted the games up till the end of the season? I can't remember when it was, but it was a while ago.
14 games to go or something.
Yeah, and I did preface them at the time that they would probably change given the context. But I went on this mad run where we were going to draw about 5 games in a row.
But you've been on that mad run all season.
Not
My
really.
memory is that you just predict a 1-1 draw for every game. That might be unfair.
I don't know if I predict as many draws as you think I do, but there was a run around Christmas where it got a bit silly. I think Arsenal will win 1-0. Yeah.
I don't know. Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Do you miss me predicting 1-1?
I've gone for 3-0. No, I just think we're brilliant. No, I've just forgotten the run of form we've been on. No, we're brilliant. We're amazing. We're going to win 3-0 comfortably.
The last time we scored 2 goals in a game was Leicester away.
Marino.
Double. So the goals aren't flowing from us. You said, I don't know if the result, Palace and Fulham in the Cup, was as much of a surprise. Palace are really quite good after a very, very slow start. They've conceded the 3rd fewest amount of goals in the league, so they're obviously very sort of tight at the back, and they have 1 or 2 players who can do stuff up front. Mateta's, turning into quite a solid player. Eze has got that magic touch. But I don't know. Fulham still played all right, had a few chances, but didn't really take them. And I think their lack of, it's not going to be a high-scoring game. I can't see it. But who knows?
Is anybody going to the game?
No, school night.
No, I mean with the Albert Hall.
Woohoo!
Forming, obviously.
North Bank Pod live.
Yeah. Yeah, no, my kid is doing a concert there with all her buddies. So.
Very good.
And you've chosen that over Arsenal Fulham.
Honestly, where's your loyalty, Chris?
She'd never talk to me again.
Call yourself a fan.
Call yourself Arsenal.
It's not a proper fan. Have we got anything else? I mean, 3-0. Like it's another important game, but I think the fact that Steph, you've gone for a home win speaks volumes. Really. Everybody should be expecting us to win that game.
Well, like last time out, in our long predictions ages ago, I predicted we'd draw against Chelsea. But when the game came around, you looked at the context; they were missing a couple of key players, and I just thought Arsenal would nick it. And I look at Fulham and the disappointment that they've had, and they are in a decent position in the league, but they know that they're surrounded by other teams that are in slightly better form, so Brighton being one, Newcastle being the other. Villa are still there.
Villa's still in the FA Cup, Champions League and in the league.
Crazy.
So Villa could come a cropper in 3 if they're not careful.
Well, come a cropper, but also could have a bloody
it could be an
amazing end
season.
to the season.
Could be a season that all bar Man City fans would be envious of in recent times. If Madrid beat us, I'm quite happy for Villa to win the Champions League. Yeah, I don't.
I must admit, given the interactions on our social media, I've got a newfound respect for Aston Villa because we said a couple of wrong things. Like when we spoke about Villa in our international break episode, we all completely forgot about them being still in the FA Cup and having that as a route to European football. But their fans were just actually very polite in pointing out, "Oh no, we're still in the FA Cup." Whereas other teams are a little less diplomatic, shall we say?
Liverpool.
But there was one guy who we got chatting to on a couple of comments on our TikTok who he's convinced that it's Arsenal and Villa in the semi-final. He's convinced. Yeah, so fair play.
I'll have what he's smoking.
I don't know how I feel about
Emi
that.
Martinez in this. Oh no!
I don't know how I feel about that because
Taunting us in a penalty shootout. Can you imagine?
Yeah,
Turn
exactly.
If it goes to penalty, I'm not watching that. I'm just not watching it. I wouldn't watch that.
I might bloody be there because that's the thing. I can go to Madrid away because it's in the holidays for me, so I can go. But whereas I don't really have an excuse not to go to Villa because it's a couple of hours in the car.
Well,
I could do that.
I like the fact we're talking about an Arsenal Villa semi-final.
Well,
but if we did, I'm not one of these fans that will just get behind whatever English team's left in the. In fact, I'm the opposite of that. If it's United, Liverpool, Spurs, City, Chelsea, I don't care who they're playing in Europe. I want them to go down. I want them to lose. And if it can be humiliating or heartbreaking, all the better. I do not care. However, and this might be a bit patronising to Villa, but I think I've seen a lot of Arsenal semi-finals at Villa Park, and I've kind of
that was a great stadium.
An affection for the ground, and
yeah.
Just like it there. I did also see Father Christmas parachute down to Villa Park that Christmas, and he hit the roof, and then just free fell down, and we all thought he'd died. It was just horror. It was half time. We were 2-0 up. It was his bloody fault. We lost the game 3-2. They extended half time to about 45 to 60 minutes whilst he was treated. He landed horizontal on his side, just in front of row one. We're behind the goal, but just to our right. And it was like you heard him hit the ground because everybody was watching, and so it was just silent. And the parachute got caught. The parachute got caught a little bit, which kind of helped to break his fall a little bit. It wasn't like a 100-foot straight drop. He went down about 20, 30 foot, and it caught in the thing, and he dangled a little bit, and then it went all the rest of the way. And but there is a happy ending to this story. He didn't die. And he met his future wife he met his future wife in hospital whilst he was recuperating. They may have divorced since. I don't know. But the last time I read anything about it. But so I'm not sure why that's got a fond memory for me. But
can you remember why he did it? Was he the guy who just did it?
There were he was about the 5th or 6th Santa. It was the last game before Christmas, but it was quite blustery, and he was the most experienced parachutist, and he was the last one to come down. Yeah, he was the last one to come down, and he just got caught in, I don't know, and it was like it was terrifying. I mean, I would struggle to stand on a chair and look down. You know, the thought of doing that is like, I think you need your head testing anyway. Jumping out of a plane is in perfect working condition, but bloody hell. And it was the highest stand as well, and it was like, I mean, he could have landed on. If he'd landed on people in the stand, he'd have killed them. Like that force of him landing on top of people, like it was just. Actually, the more I think about it, my worst Arsenal supporting memory happened at Villa Park as well. I thought, why am I liking Villa?
We're at the semi-final.
But
you hate United for that. It's not Villa's fault.
Yeah, I know, but I was at Villa Park.
People I know who went said there was trouble with Man United fans after the game and all sorts. It was a bit of a...
The moment for me was the Bergkamp penalty miss.
Yeah, of course.
Had that gone in, it was 90th minute, we'd have won the double.
No treble.
United ended up winning the treble that season, just on that kick.
Rod Hull might still be alive. You know,
you're going to have to talk me through this one.
Do you not remember Rod Hull and Emu?
I do. I remember them too. Yeah,
he died because he's a Man United fan. Watching the Champions League final '99, but his signal kept going on the roof, and he was having to adjust it. Fell off, died. There you go.
I didn't know that's why.
Yeah,
that one. Oh dear.
He should have sent Emu up. Tumbleweed.
Well, he'd have to give him a hand.
We have to stop now.
That was a puppet joke. Jesus. Maybe I won't clip that up.
Yeah, leave that one just for the
One for the
few
kids.
for the few people who've made it this far.
Yeah, exactly. We don't do Easter eggs anymore.
No, technically don't do that. Anyway, right, okay, that's enough. Right, we're done with the Arsenal. We've all predicted a home win against Fulham on Tuesday. We'll check back in again after that game. If we're not any of us at the game, we might do a Reacto pod on the evening of. So listen, look out for that. If not, sometime on Wednesday. But either way, have a great couple of days. Thanks for the chat. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you the other side of the Fulham game. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye. The North Bank, an Arsenal podcast. Subscribe, rate and review on your app, and find us on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at North Bank Pod. Email hello@thenorthbankafc.com and check out our website, thenorthbankafc.com. Produced by The Podcast Company.